What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a look at the next couple of products which are coming for the One Piece TCG. Because actually, we've seen some Amazon listings over in Japan, and that makes things pretty interesting. Starting off with OP-10, where we have a name now, Royal Bloodline, and we have a release date for Japan of November the 30th. Now, one thing that's very important here, I don't believe this is a placeholder date. Now, I know the 30th of November is the last day of the month, which we often use for placeholder dates, but this is a Saturday, and we do see release dates for Saturdays for Japanese products. And also, they're not doing this with the starter deck I'm going to show you in a minute. I believe this means that it is actually coming out on November the 30th. By the way, the price here is too high, the one you're seeing on the screen. That is more than a booster box should cost. It should be nearer to 5,000 yen. But essentially what we've got here is a listing from Sayamall Online. So don't read too much into that. This is a third-party seller selling pre-orders rather than Amazon themselves. Now, annoyingly, we're not actually given a description in the Amazon listing, which really annoys me, because generally speaking, we used to get this. Like, it used to be a case whereby if there was a listing on a Japanese site, like Amazon, for instance, then we would get like a proper description of the set. That is not what we're seeing here. The product description, I'm not even going to screenshot it for you. It reads like this. One Piece card game OP-10 brackets box close brackets 24 packs. That's literally it. Okay, fine. But you know what? Outside of that, we still have the release date, we still have the name, and this is pretty gosh darned important. Because of course now what we need to do is we need to go back to the information that we have about this set from our distributors and see if this seems about right. See if we can get some matching up here, because that's what we need to do. Like, hopefully at some point in the near future, we are going to see a proper reveal of this. I'm hoping, because we're in a weird situation right now. There is nothing, literally nothing, which has been revealed for Japan and not released. The last thing that Japan actually revealed was OP-10, and that came out like a couple of weeks ago at this point. There is nothing we're waiting for over in Japan. It is about time they announce something. And frankly, with this set, OP-10, coming around on November the 30th, according to the information we've got, this is the next thing which is releasing in Japan. This should be the next thing that gets revealed in Japan. So I can't give you a date or anything like that, but we generally have a big news update in Japan on Fridays. I would be surprised if we didn't get a reveal this Friday. Can't guarantee, can't promise, but I would be very surprised if we didn't get a reveal this Friday. So let's take a look at the release dates we've seen. In Japan, the release date is November the 30th. I'm pretty sure at this stage that's real. The release date we've got from distributors in the West is the 21st of March, which gives us about a 4-month gap. Is that right? Well, you know what? We can have a look at some other dates. Take Premium Booster 01. We're getting that at the beginning of November. But over in Japan, that was released at the end of July. So 27th of July in Japan, 8th of November over here. That's 3.5 to 4 months. And similarly, November the 30th to March the 21st, that's like a week or two under 4 months. So, yeah, honestly, these two dates make sense. And bearing in mind, one is a Japanese listing on Amazon, which are generally pretty reliable, and one is a distributor listing in the West, which again is pretty reliable. I think it's fair to say that the release dates here make sense. We can believe them both. What about the name of the set? Well, the name of the set is Royal Bloodline. That's the Japanese name. Obviously, the English name will change a little bit. Like, for instance, if we look at OP-09, the Japanese name translates to New Emperor, whereas the English version of 09 does not have exactly the same name. It's Emperor in the New World. Now, it's very, very similar let's be clear, but it's not exactly the same. So it's going to be along those kind of lines. Maybe the wording is going to change a little bit. But new Emperor, Emperors in the New World, same kind of thing. Here, we got Royal Bloodline. It's going to be a similar kind of thing over here. Cool. Well, the information we've got from distributors is that it is going to feature, you ready for this? The Don Quixote Pirates, led by Don Quixote Doflamingo. And, of course, Doflamingo, King of Dressrosa. A royal character. That makes perfect sense. By the way, when I'm talking about these characters, I'm showing you like a random card that's come out in the past just so we can have an image of the character on the screen. Obviously, these are not cards from OP-10. Similarly, we are told there's going to be Land of Wano cards. Well, Wano certainly sounds like it's got some royal characters in it. Like, for instance, Kurazumi Orochi, the Shogun of Wano Country. So, certainly royal bloodlines for a set that's bringing in Wano Country, Dressrosa, etc. It does actually make quite a lot of sense, I'm going to be honest with you. And look, don't get me wrong, there are some others coming in here as well. Characters like Caesar Clown and Monet from Punk Hazard doesn't really work quite so well. Odyssey doesn't work quite so well. Not played that game, maybe it does. I'm going to. I got it on the Switch. I promise you it's happening. But the point is, Royal Bloodlines, you look at this and you're like, yeah, honestly, that actually makes perfect sense. So we know a little bit more. We've got the release date. We've got the, well, at least in Japan, we've got a description which matches the name we've been given. And honestly, this all is starting to sound a little bit legit. So yay! What is the other product about which we've been given some information? Well, we've been told about the new starter deck, Starter Deck 21, Start Deck EX, Gear 5. Now, couple of things that are very important about this that we learned from the Amazon listing. Firstly, Japanese release date of December the 21st. In the West, that would be way too close to Christmas. Japan doesn't care. They've literally, like Digimon released a set literally on Christmas Eve in the past. Yeah, they don't care, right? In the West, you would never see a release date this close to Christmas. You're essentially giving up a lot of the prime Christmas shopping days. But here in Japan, it's not an issue. We've got a price of 3,190 yen. Why is that important? That's the most expensive deck so far. Well, okay, it's a tied most expensive deck so far. It is tied with Starter Deck 13. For what it's worth, it's kind of also tied with Starter Deck 10. Starter Deck 10 was $29.70, but it was the same kind of box, same kind of thing. It's just there was a few months difference and they raised the price because of inflation and stuff. So this is in line with Starter Deck 10 and Starter Deck 13. And that should make you guys happy because those decks were awesome. I do think it is worth pointing out that both Starter Deck 13 and Starter Deck 10 had free leaders. That was the thing that really kind of, now don't get me wrong, they both had a deck box and all in as well, but they both had free leaders. That was the real thing that connected both of those decks. Does not look like what we've got from Starter Deck 21 here. That does not seem to be the case, and certainly the listing that we've got over on distributor websites tells us that it is going to be a one-leader deck. But the fact that it's so expensive tells us pretty conclusively that this is going to be worth getting excited about. We're told there's going to be a new Gear 5 Luffy leader. Now, it's important to note there is a Gear 5 Luffy leader in OP-09, but the information we've got here is Gear 5 is now included in a leader card. Luffy has a leader card featuring his Gear 5 form. It doesn't actually explicitly say a new leader card, but I do think it's fair to assume it will be new, especially because you're getting one leader in a very expensive deck. By the way, it doesn't specifically say one leader, but it says constructed deck times 151 cards. 50 card deck, one leader. Come on. Come on. But we also know that it does come with sleeves, not a deck box, but sleeves. And generally speaking, sleeves are more expensive than a deck box, so that's probably making up the two leaders we're not getting. And then there's a bonus pack that contains starter deck cards in a special design, which I'm assuming is going to be very much like the ones from Starter Deck 13. So if we have a look at the Luffy leader from there, for instance, you can see we got the regular leader and then what I like to call the monochrome, although it's not technically monochrome, the alternate art Luffy. It's not even alternate art really, alternate colour Luffy that you could get from the promo pack. Either way, it's pretty gosh darn cool. So that's worth getting excited about as well. This is going to be a very cool deck. It's going to be stuff to get excited about, and I'm excited for it. But I've told you what we know about these things now. We've got a bit of extra information. We know more. We're still waiting for the proper reveal. But like I've said, something has got to be revealed this weekend. It's got to be. It's been too long. Oh, by the way, I should say the Gear 5 starter deck is coming out on the 14th of March, which is interesting because it looks like we're getting the deck a week before OP-10. But over in Japan, they're getting the deck like 3 weeks exactly 3 weeks after, which is going to be interesting because it means Japan will have a metagame where they do have OP-10 but they don't have starter deck 21. We will never have that format. It's going to be a 3-week format, but still, that's kind of interesting, right? I don't know. I've told you what you need to know, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me your predictions, go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about a whole bunch of other card games, and One Piece, of course. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.